drinking wouldn't have allowed me to explore this other area of me and kind of was keeping me at this level. Like drinking, when you're drinking a lot, never elevates you. It never progresses you forward. All it does is just keep you here. Keeps you here. You know, you never have heard anybody ever say that I am really glad I started drinking again. Nobody's ever said that because there's no reason to be glad. If you've stopped and you've seen the positive aspects that drinking has made towards your life being improved in every way, shape, or form, it's like there's no reason to look back, and that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm really not even like, oh, I'm 100 days sober, I hope I can make it 100 more. I'm almost like drinking isn't even a thing for me anymore. I don't drink, and life has gotten so much better without drinking in every way. So I know a lot of people hit me up on Twitter about being sober. I know a lot of people always ask me questions about it. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. I want to form a place where people can get together and talk about issues with addiction. It doesn't have to be limited to alcohol. It can be any other addiction. I know there's every addiction out there. And even if you're having a hard time in life with depression, if you're having a hard time in life with your family, with work, anything, I know that everybody needs somebody to talk to, and not everybody has somebody to talk to. So I'm going to use Ruin Your Day as a platform for that. Every week on Wednesdays, I haven't decided a time yet, probably around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to have Ruin Your Day live for an hour. And basically what's going to be happening is the chat is going to be live, and that's going to be used as the floor for everybody to talk. I might be on a video feed answering questions to the chat. I might pull up some music that Ruin Your Day made to play. I might play some video in the background. It's going to be sort of a free-form vehicle type of feed. There's not going to be really a set thing that we're doing. The only thing that I want to go on is I want people to feel like it's a safe place to come into and talk and vent, talk to other people, maybe give advice. I'll be in there if anybody wants to ask any questions about being sober. I can give whatever advice I can for that. And yeah, essentially, I just think there needs to be a place like that. I think AA works really well for a lot of people because it's a community. It's a strong-knit community. You have a sponsor that holds you accountable for not drinking. You have other people that are going through the same thing as you. You realize there's a whole world out there of people that just don't drink. And that's rare these days, honestly. So I want there to be a place like that on Ruin Your Day doesn't have to be just limited to alcohol. It could be anything. You know, like my parents went through some heart problems this year, and that really devastated me. So, you know, I needed somebody to talk to about that. My ex-girlfriend's dog that I really love got cancer. My close friend just had cancer. So it's been tough for me as well this year, and I'm really thankful that I've had Ruin Your Day to talk to you guys about battle rap and forget about the troubles in my life, but I want to give back, and I want to create a platform where we can all come together and sort of be each other's shoulder to lean on every now and then. So just wanted to make this video to talk about me getting sober, my experience with it. Honestly, to wrap this up, being sober is like probably the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. Me breaking up with my ex-girlfriend that I love to this day has been the best thing that's ever happened to me too as well. It's really like jump-started me to make big improvements in my life that I'm really proud of. And yeah, I mean, I think anybody out there that's struggling with addiction, the first question you need to ask for yourself, if you're thinking that you might have a drug problem, alcohol problem, any sort of problem, is if I'm asking myself if I have a problem, I might have a problem. Do you want to take the next step to solving it? Do you want to get clean? Do you want to get sober? And all I can say is being sober is amazing. It's great. I would never trade it for anything. It works really well for me. Other people can drink responsibly. I'm not one of those people. I can't drink responsibly at all. So yeah, guys, I just want to thank you all for helping me through my year of sobriety. You guys really made a huge difference in my life. I want to thank everybody out there that supported Ruin Your Day, all the patrons, all the people that did a watch episode, all the guests, all the people that tuned in for watch, everybody that bought merch, everybody that bought music. It means the world to me. So thank you guys. Boom. Sup, everybody? Welcome to Ruin an Hour, safe place to talk about anything from depression, anxiety, addiction, sobriety, balance of life. My name is Kyle Gray. I'm the host of this show. We're live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope everybody's doing really good in the quarantine. I know this is a difficult time for a lot of people struggling with addiction. I saw somebody in the chat talking about it. But yeah, when you have a lot of time on your hands and nothing else to do but just think, sometimes it might feel uncomfortable and you want to wash away the feeling of uncomfortability with something to numb it out. That's the reason why any of us are addicts, and I actually want to dive into a video focusing on that today. I discovered this really awesome YouTube channel that I've been pretty obsessed with recently called School of Life. And I kind of want to focus on stuff like that with this show as well, because it's like, you know, as much as I could talk about things from my experience, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I can only say like what I experienced through me. So I like to share other people's stories as well, while also listening to you guys and talking about everything you're going through. But yeah, how's everybody doing today? Desi, I've been so anxious at nights. I've also noticed my social isolation is back now that I'm not symptomatic. Like, people aren't calling and texting to check in, so loneliness is super thick. Yeah, that's something to struggle with, right? When people aren't calling to check in, you know, especially if you have an influx of it at one time, like you had when you were going through your health issues, and then it just dies out. Then I could definitely feel that feeling of loneliness coming into, and like wanting that attachment to still be there. I personally, I don't know, like this quarantine for me, I mean, I'm a very self-isolating person in general, which is not always a good thing. It can be a bad thing, and I'm definitely working on it not being so much of a thing in my life, and learning to like get closer to people and contact people. But this whole thing for me personally has been really, really good. It's been really amazing. I've definitely like looked introspectively at myself very, very much. I've spent a lot of time with just me, sat with a lot of really uncomfortable feelings about myself, not worked through things because I'm not through anything, but I've sat in things that before I really hated sitting in, and that I've been like, oh, I'm so tired of sitting in this feeling. It's like, I've been sitting in this feeling for 2 years. How much longer is it going to be? And I think like through this quarantine and knowing like this, not knowing when this will end, not really knowing where the future is going to even take me, I think like there's some sort of like slight beauty in that life is unpredictable, and you should learn to be grateful for the small things that you have in the moment, you know. And I think it like really, this quarantine taught me a lot of gratitude, and I've been practicing a lot of gratitude daily. So you recommend top chat or live chat? Don't know what either of those things are. JT Flynn, what's up, my man? How are you doing? Just finished my midnight yoga and thought I'd check in. How are we doing, chat? Pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty amazing. I worked out today, ran some errands, did some work. It's hot as hell out in LA, so running outside sucked. Huh?
Live chat.
Live chat? What is live chat?
It's just like what they see in their stream as you're talking to them. So they top chat, they don't see everything.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm being told that do live chat, not top chat. Because live chat, you'll see everything. And yeah, Ben, do you want to show the puppy? My roommate, Ben, who you guys may or may not have known, he works with me on pretty much everything. He got a puppy. So this is the smallest dog in the world. Her name is Pen. Oh my god. So tiny. But yeah, she's super cute, super young. She's 3 weeks old. So that's going to be the Ruin Your Day mascot from now on when she gets a little bit older.
but if you hear her making that noise, it's literally the only noise she makes. And it's only because Ben took her out of the pouch he made for her. He like literally made this like pouch out of this like little bag he had. It's really cute. Yeah, Penelope. That's her full name because it's the name of a Pinback song, which is one of Ben's favorite groups, and it's the name of one of his friend's favorite Pinback songs. So it's like a homage to her. But yeah, guys, do you guys want to watch this video that I have? There's two. Let me bring it up. You won't be able to see the chat on the screen, but since we're hitting here, you guys know what we're talking about. So this YouTube channel is called The School of Life. Why don't I get notifications and alerts on your channels anymore? Because YouTube is not the best system, my friend. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, not much more I can say. Yeah, the puppy is a big hit. We know the puppy's a big hit. Clayton was over here just taking 1 million Instagram photos the other night. We should make her have her own like Instagram page. Yeah, the pen. But yeah, so this YouTube channel I've been really vibing with recently is called The School of Life. Wonderful YouTube channel. And yeah, it's incredible. Like, I don't even know really what to describe it as, more as it's just like an educational channel. And I want to watch 2 videos from it today. Check if the bell icon is set to all instead of personalized. It is set to all, I think. Or is that on your guys' end? Is that what you were saying, Devontae? But yeah, School of Life. Really great channel. The awesome aspect that I love about it being a visual artist is they use a different form of animation in every video. But they also do things that are really relevant to Ruin an Hour. Like, I want to watch this video right now called Why We Are All Addicts. And I watched this the other night and, like, literally, like, teared up. It was so good. But, yeah, let's dig into this.
We operate with some stock images of the addict. A person with a heroin needle in a park, or who nurses a bottle of gin in a paper bag at 9 in the morning, or who sneaks off at every opportunity to light up another cylinder of marijuana. However dramatic and tragic such cases of addiction might be, they are simultaneously hugely reassuring to most of us, because they locate the addict far from ordinary experience, somewhere off stage in the land of semi-criminality and outright breakdown. Such examples are dangerously flattering, categorizing addiction in a sentimental way that lets most of us off the hook. And at the same time,
love that so much. Categorizing addiction in a sentimental way that lets most of us off the hook. Fire! There's some bars in this, man.
Such examples are dangerously flattering, categorizing addiction in a sentimental way that lets most of us off the hook, and at the same time cuts us off from identification with, and therefore sympathy for, the most wretched victims of addiction. There are, in truth, far more addicts than we think. Indeed, if we look at the matter squarely, we are pretty much all addicts. The official statistics on the consumption of hard drugs and alcohol don't begin to give a fair representation of the issue. We need to define addiction in a new way. Addiction is the manic reliance on something, anything, in order to keep our dark or unsettling thoughts at bay. What properly indicates addiction is not what someone is addicted to, for we can get addicted to pretty much anything. It is the motives behind their reliance on it, and in particular, their desire to avoid encountering the contents of their own mind. Being inside our minds is for most of us, and very understandably, a deeply anxiety-inducing prospect. We're filled with thoughts we don't want properly to entertain, and feelings we're desperate not to feel. There is an infinite amount we're angry and sad about that it would take an uncommon degree of courage to face up to. We experience a host of fantasies and desires that we have a huge incentive to disavow because of the extent to which they violate our self-image and our more normative commitments. We shouldn't pride ourselves because we aren't injecting something into our veins, almost certainly we are doing something with equal commitment. We're checking.
I love that. We shouldn't pride ourselves because we're not injecting something into our veins. We are most likely doing something of equal commitment. I love that. I don't know, just like the scripts this channel writes are like so borderline poetic. Couple that with the English bruv language, which is so elegant and classy, and it's just I love this channel. This channel, I watched like 10 videos in a row the other night. It was fire.
We shouldn't pride ourselves because we aren't injecting something into our veins. Almost certainly we are doing something with equal commitment. We're checking the news at 4-minute intervals to keep the news from ourselves at bay. We're doing sport, exhausting our bodies in the hope of not having to hear from our minds. We're using work to get away from the true internal work we're shirking. The most compelling addictions can sound very righteous to the world. To get a measure of our levels of addiction, we need only consider when the last time might have been that we were able to sit alone in a room with our own thoughts, without distraction, free associating, daring to wander into the past and the future, allowing ourselves to feel pain, desire, regret, and excitement. We may start to see how much we have in common with the traditional addict. When we come face to face with them, we're not meeting anything especially foreign, just a part of ourselves in a less respectable form, opening up new opportunities for kindness towards them and us. We could start to think too of how we might wean ourselves off our chosen addictive pursuit. We need to lose our fear of our minds. We need a collective sense of safety around confronting loss, humiliation, sexual desire, and sadness, knowing that we will have to keep running away so long as we do not rehabilitate our feelings. On the other side of addiction is, in a sense, philosophy. Philosophy understood as the patient, unfrightened, compassionate examination of the contents of our own minds.
Man, I love that. That's fire. Talking about the opposite end of addiction being philosophy, philosophy being the examination of the contents of our own minds, and addiction being the thing to stray away from that. I love that thought. That is so amazing. I really, really, really love this channel, guys. If you guys can go subscribe to it, it's not like they need subscribers. They have like millions. They have 5.6 million. They're doing great. They also have a store. I ordered like 6 books from them the other night. But I'm gonna play one more because I feel like it's very pertinent to this channel, and I actually took a quote from it the other night and tweeted it out that I thought was so powerful. And this one is on feeling depressed. And I know a lot of people, myself included, have been dealing with some level of depression. May not be clinical depression, but some form of it in the past and recent, especially with this quarantine. And I think this video definitely is a helpful video to watch.
We're not talking about the extreme, most paralyzing regions of despair, where external medical help is vital. Our target is rather the times when we feel, as indicated by Thoreau's phrase, mired in moods of quiet desperation, a large grey hinterland in which beneath an outward surface of endurance we feel exhausted, close to tears, beyond the sympathetic understanding of others, easily irritated and daunted by the simplest tasks. There will probably have been certain triggers for our melancholy, an intimate rejection, a humiliation around work, the growing realization that the ambitious plans of earlier years have come to very little. Unfortunately, sadness feels very taboo. Societies tend slyly to
Love that. Sadness feels very taboo. I love that about how sort of villainizing sadness, being like, oh, there's something wrong with you feeling sad because, you know, we're society being happy all the time, success, being productive, everything is highlighted because that's, of course, the good. Everybody wants to feel the good, but sadness, grief, despair, failure, all the things that actually do make you good and give you power are the things that's sort of like weaponized against people. You know, you never see people highlighting their lowest moments because they think, the funny thing, I bet if somebody did that, highlighted their lowest moments, it probably would be very inspiring to some people, because it's like, I'm inspired hearing people from what people came from. You know, last week we were talking about Wes Watson, the ex-convict that went to prison for 15 years, I think, came out. Now he does a lot of like inspirational videos, and he talks about how he found his mind, solidarity, and consciousness, and his positive mindset in prison, being with nothing, being at rock bottom. To me, that's super inspirational to hear, rather than me seeing somebody that has like monetary and financial success. To me, is not inspiring. To me, that's not like, I really want to be like that. You know, to me, when I see the guy that came from nothing and made anything of himself and has a good mindset, that's impressive, because I'm like, I might not have come from that. And that's like, to see anybody coming from any sort of struggle and building themselves up from that and having some sort of growth through anything in life is super inspirational to me. So I don't know. But yeah, I really like that, how they were saying sadness is taboo in society. I find I write blogs when I'm feeling down. I used to post links to my posts on Instagram. I was shocked by how many people that followed me messaged me saying they felt the same. Of course, Mal Miles, appreciate it. Yeah, Devarius, I'm doing round for round after this. But yeah, I agree. You know, like, that's why I started doing this show, because I feel like it's just I don't feel like I'm like this motivational speaker. Like I have a place to do anything like this. I just feel like a lot of people can help from coming together and talking about what they're going through, whether that's be something they're afraid to voice for being shunned, whether they don't have friends to talk to, whether that they're in a community that doesn't really open up the door to welcome talks about mental illness. I feel like people talking about their struggles is nothing but therapeutic and helpful to anybody, because that's literally all I watch now on YouTube. Like I used to watch like a lot of podcasts, and now I haven't really found a good podcast that's focusing on this, but mostly I watch videos like this that are dealing with a subject, talking about a subject, offering some sort of opinion on them. And yeah, that's enough of my spiel. Let's get back to this video.
A humiliation around work, the growing realization that the ambitious plans of earlier years have come to very little. Unfortunately, sadness feels very taboo. Societies tend slyly to insist on cheerfulness. We end up not only struggling, but humiliated that we're in such difficulties. Yet, in truth, there is nothing more natural or routine than grief. We have so much to feel morose about. Simply by virtue of being alive, we will inevitably so often feel badly misunderstood, unfairly criticized, overlooked, and rejected. We'll be struck by our own stupidity and appalled by our inner ugliness and cowardice. We will make some shockingly poor decisions. We will let others down, and we will witness those we love suffer and die before ourselves having to give up the keys to life. The reasons for feeling low and demoralized touch more or less everyone. It is the universality, the normality of suffering that makes the sight of small, happy children so poignant. We know, as they cannot yet, how much they're going to suffer.
All of that is so incredible to me, talking about how just by the virtue of being alive that you're going to experience some hardship, so it being the thing that connects everyone instead of ostracizing people for being depressed is what the healthy approach to depression should be. I love that. I love that idea and that mindset. That's so amazing.
Cheerfulness. We end up not only struggling, but humiliated that we're in such difficulties. Yet, in truth, there is nothing more natural or routine than grief. We have so much to feel morose about. Simply by virtue of being alive, we will inevitably so often feel badly misunderstood, unfairly criticized, overlooked, and rejected. We'll be struck by our own stupidity and appalled by our inner ugliness and cowardice. We will make some shockingly poor decisions. We will let others down, and we will witness those we love suffer and die before ourselves having to give up the keys to life. The reasons for feeling low and demoralized touch more or less everyone. It is the universality, the normality of suffering that makes the sight of small, happy children so poignant. We know, as they cannot yet, how much they're going to suffer. We don't know the precise details, but we know that in some way or another a distinctive range of horrors will, in time, befall them. Every day, almost without noticing it, we have to fight off a range of incoming, powerful reasons not to despair. We rely on an internal engine or muscle of hope to pump out consoling thoughts. Then one day, the task seems too much. The muscle can't take it anymore. At such times, we need to keep a few ideas in mind. For a start, that sorrow is not an individual failing. It is a basic reality for our entire species. We are so extremely sensitive, such fragile constructions, constantly exposed to danger, for the most part blind, hopeful without regard to reality, and with unquenchable needs for love and sympathy. Our tribulations are a symptom of being human, never just a curse attached to our sliver of existence. Others, who might seem successful, buoyant, and composed, will travel at moments they shield us from, to the very same places of despair we have been exiled to. We live so close to ourselves. We know so much about our own private failings. We miss that our flaws are, in fact, general, present even in the outwardly placid, the beautiful, the rich, and the people next door. If only we could see into their minds, we would feel so much less alone. We are, it's true, sometimes hard to be around. We're easy to caricature as grumpy and a pain. But in truth, we're sad rather than mean, anxious rather than bad. It's hard to make our despair sound charming, to present ourselves in the way that would win us the compassion we so require. Yet we're being harder on ourselves than we would be on a friend. We should, at the least, accord ourselves the same degree of forgiveness we wouldn't hesitate to direct to an acquaintance. In the end, however tempting it is, we can't just abandon our lives. There are too many people who rely on us, even if...
Yo, upper mans, you should listen closely to this next part, because this whole section is definitely for you when you're saying I'm at the point of depression where I'd sacrifice my life for the world. Listen to this, man, because this is definitely like right up what you're feeling right now. I think this would make a difference.
Yet we're being harder on ourselves than we would be on a friend. We should, at the least, accord ourselves the same degree of forgiveness we wouldn't hesitate to direct to an acquaintance. In the end, however tempting it is, we can't just abandon our lives. There are too many people who rely on us, even if their presence doesn't feel real right now. Above all, we don't know the future. It's the other side of our dependence on chance. Things can get slightly better for reasons it's hard to foresee. Just as pleasures fade and can seem meaningless in retrospect, so pains, at least sometimes, can pass or soften. Things we thought we'd never be able to get over gradually become bearable. We adjust our mental posture. We stoop to accommodate a new reality. Being miserable does not exclude us from the human community. It's a sure sign that we are very normal, and that life is progressing in its own dark way, more or less exactly to plan.
Really dope. Really dope. I love this channel, man. This channel is amazing. But yeah, upper mans, I feel like that is right up the alley of what you're going through. Especially with there's too many people that depend on you to sacrifice, to take your life, you know, even if their voices aren't loud and you don't know, and life can get better for reasons that aren't really apparent right now. Love those videos, man. Okay, Nicole, what's up? Needed that. Thank you for that, of course. You the goat. Stay up. It's not selfish or sacrifice. It's a mean of coping. I mean, we can watch another one about coping with depression. There's one here. If you guys want to just keep watching these videos, or if you guys want to talk, I'm down to just keep watching these videos because these are incredible, and I feel like this one might be helpful to upper men's. Let's get the screen up. All right, this one's how to cope with depression.
Almost half of us will suffer from depression at some point in our lives, but the condition remains badly misunderstood and therefore often poorly treated. At the heart of our collective difficulty with depression is a confusion about what it actually is, and in particular how it can be distinguished from a state that all of us know very well and with which it has a distracting number of similarities, namely sadness. It's because we unwittingly tend to apply to cases of depression a number of assumptions drawn from and better suited to an understanding of sadness that we end up suffering far more than we should. There are, on the surface, some notable similarities between those who are sad and those who are depressed. Both groups.
Devarius, is that true? You should not stress about things you have no control over. Yeah, I mean, that's true to a degree. What's like the serenity prayer? God grant me the strength to understand. Let's just look it up because I'm going to totally mess it up. Serenity prayer. Yeah, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdoms to know the difference. Though I don't really believe wholeheartedly in that, I think there is a lot of truth in that saying, is that there is chance and tragedy in this world that we have no control over, and you putting all of the stress and accountability on yourself for your situation isn't fair, because you're only responsible for your actions. Like, for example, this quarantine, if you lost your job during this quarantine, being like, this sucks, I don't have a job, and beating yourself up over that is not fair, because it's not your fault that you don't have a job because of this quarantine. It's your responsibility to react to it, and you're responsible and accountable for your action out of that. And that's what you should take responsibility over, is your actions. But I don't think that you should hold yourself responsible for that. Why don't I believe in that wholeheartedly? I mean, I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, so God is definitely the underlying undertone in the serenity prayer. And that's definitely my problem with AA, all the AA programs. But I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just something that doesn't resonate with me. So, but yeah, let's get back into this video for show.
Suffering far more tend to apply to cases of depression, a number of assumptions drawn from and better suited to an understanding of sadness that we end up suffering far more than we should. There are, on the surface, some notable similarities between those who are sad and those who are depressed. Both groups cry, both withdraw from the world, both complain of listlessness and a sense of alienation from their normal lives. But there is one categorical difference between depression and sadness. The sad person knows what they are sad about. The depressed person doesn't. Sad people can, without difficulty, tell.
I love that. The sad person knows what they're sad about. The depressed person does not. And that's why a lot of people struggle with, I know that I have, for example, I've dealt with people that I'm very, very close to that have told me they're depressed. And I don't know, I still don't know, like, how to really handle that sometimes, because I'm like, oh, like, is it because of this? Is it because of that? Let's make these things better, and then you won't be depressed. And sometimes people just want to talk. People just want to vent. They don't want, like, you to be like, here's how to solve your depression. I have the solution because I'm in a better space than you, and I know how to make your problems better, you know? Sometimes people are just like, I don't know why I feel bad. There's times that I wake up sometimes and I'm like, I think I know why I feel bad, but there could be other reasons underneath that for sure.
Sad person knows what they are sad about. The depressed person doesn't. Sad people can, without difficulty, tell us what is troubling them. I'm sad that my grandmother has died, or that I lost my job, or that my friends are being unkind to me. And, though it might sound strange, this is precisely what the depressed person is not capable of doing. They may be tearful and at a very low ebb, but they can't conclusively put a finger on what has drained life of meaning for them. They simply say it has no meaning per se. They aren't depressed about X or Y, as one might be sad about X or Y. They are, first and foremost, simply depressed. The inability of the depressed person to account concretely for their mood can lay them open to unwarranted charges of faking, malingering, or exaggerating. Friends who begin in a well-meaning search for a soluble problem can end up frustrated by the lack of progress. When pushed, the depressed person may latch on to rather odd or minor-sounding issues to account for their state. They might complain that there's no point going to work because the Earth is due to be absorbed by the Sun in 7.5 billion years. Or they might insist that life lacks all meaning because they've just dropped a glass on the floor and everything is now completely hopeless. At this stage, one can hear it said that if depression doesn't have any sensible psychological causes, the problem must be bound up with some kind of imbalance in brain chemistry, which it would be kinder and more effective to treat with pills. An idea of great appeal to the pharmaceutical industry first and foremost, but also to worried families and schools and employers who crave rapid and cost-effective solutions. But there is
Love all that. I love all that. And I love where they're going with this. They're talking about like what it's really beneficial towards of like curing your chemical imbalance in your brain with pills. Is it really about you, or is it about people that seek for a rapid change in your health, to get better? Because of course everybody wants to see anybody get better super fast, but it's like, is it the most effective way of healing? Is it the most effective way of dealing with the situation?
To the pharmaceutical industry first and foremost, but also to worried families and schools and employers who crave rapid and cost-effective solutions. But there is another approach to depression, which, though slower and more arduous, may be a great deal more effective in the long term. This stems from insights drawn from psychotherapy, the discipline that has, arguably, been able to understand depression better than any other. The basic premise of psychotherapy is that the depressed person isn't depressed, as they suggest, for no reason. There is a reason. They are very distressed about something, but that something is proving extremely difficult to take on board, and has therefore been pushed into the outer zones of consciousness, from where it wreaks havoc on the whole person, prompting boundless feelings of nihilism. For depressives, realizing what they are concretely upset about would be too devastating. So they unconsciously choose to remain dead to everything, as opposed to very distraught about something. Depression is sadness that has forgotten its true causes. Forgotten because remembering may generate overwhelming, untenable feelings of pain and loss. What might these true causes be? Perhaps that we've married the very wrong person, or that our sexuality isn't what we once believed, or that we're furious with a parent for their lack of care in our childhood. In order to preserve a fragile peace of mind, one then chooses, though that may sound more willed than it is in reality, to be depressed rather than to have a realization. We pick unceasing numbness as protection against dreadful insight. To make things yet more difficult, the depressed person doesn't typically consciously feel that they are in fact lacking insight. They're not aware of a gap in their self-understanding. Furthermore, they are nowadays often taught to assume that they are just depressed, as one might be physically ill, a verdict that can be of appeal as much to the pharmaceutical industry as to certain people close to the patient with an interest in insights remaining buried. There's another key difference to note between sadness and depression. Sad people are grief-stricken about something out in the world, but they aren't necessarily sad about themselves. Their self-esteem is unaffected by their grief. whereas depressed people will characteristically feel wretched about themselves and be full of self-recrimination, guilt, shame, and self-loathing paranoia that may at tragic extremes culminate in suicidal thoughts. For psychotherapy, the origins of these violent moods of self-hatred lie in anger due for, but unable to be directed towards, someone else in the world, that has then turned against the sufferer. Wrathful feelings that should have gone outwards towards a partner who's relentlessly defensive or denies one's sex, or a parent who humiliated one in childhood. These feelings are instead driven back onto the sufferer and starts to attack them. The feeling, X has horribly let me down, turns into a very unpleasant but in some ways more bearable, I'm an unworthy and unbearable wretch. One becomes self-hating as a defense against the risks of hating someone else. Also worth noting in all this is that in many cases depression is associated with an apparently opposite mood, a kind of euphoric state termed mania, hence the term manic depressive. The mania in question looks from a distance a bit like happiness, just like depression can look like sadness. But in one area in particular, the relationship between mania and happiness is identical to that between depression and sadness. The common element is a disavowed self-knowledge. In mania, one is euphoric, but cannot go into one's own deep mind and discover its bitter truths, which explains one of the leading characteristics of manic people. Their habit of being in flight from themselves, talking too much about nothing, over-exercising, drinking, working continuously, or spending too much, all as an escape from a submerged grief, rage, or loss. It is from this kind of diagnosis that a suggested cure emerges. What people in depression need above all is a chance to arrive at insight. For this, they will tend to need a hugely supportive and patient listener. They may also, used appropriately, benefit from temporary use of medication to lift their mood just enough so that they can endure a conversation. But the assumption isn't that brain chemistry is where the problem either begins or ends. The despair is caused by an undigested, unknown, and unresolved trauma. Also, far from needing to be taken through reasons to trust that life is beautiful, depressives must be allowed to feel and to remember specific damage, and to be granted a fundamental sense of the legitimacy of their emotions. They need to be allowed to be angry and for the anger to settle on the right, awkward targets. The goal in treating depression is to move a sufferer from feeling limitlessly despairing to mourning the loss of something in particular, the last 20 years, a marriage, a hope one would be loved by one's father, a career. However agonizing the insight and mourning might be, these must always be preferable to allowing loss to contaminate the totality of one's perspective. There are plenty of dreadful things in every life.
Man, I love the vernacular of this channel. I really love the writing in here. It's so amazing.
A hope one would be loved by one's father, a career. However agonizing the insight and mourning might be, these must always be preferable to allowing loss to contaminate the totality of one's perspective. There are plenty of dreadful things in every life, which is why it's wholly normal to feel sad on a regular basis. But there are also always a sufficient number of things that remain beautiful and hopeful, so long as one's been allowed to understand and know one's pain and anger, and adequately mourn one's losses.
Our Know Yourself card.
Great. But yeah, guys, go subscribe to the School of Life. Really impressive channel with a lot of things that's really pertinent to what Rune and Hour is all about. Talking about depression, how to cope with it, anxiety, all those things that I really talk about a lot on the show and that they put into words a lot more elegantly than I can. So go check it out. It's amazing. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about for the last 15 minutes? Let's get into some discussions with the chat. Anybody going through anything that you guys want to voice? Any questions? Anything you guys want to throw my way? Devarius, I kind of agree with that. I mean, all of our strength is going through any sort of test and that's how we grow. So I definitely can see that perspective. Billy, what do you want to talk about, man? What's going on? Yes, little Du Bois. I actually am subscribed to that channel too, Soft White Underbelly. I'm kind of torn on if I really like it, because there are a lot of times that he feels exploitative of the people he's interviewing, especially when he interviews people in the sex work, like prostitutes, strippers. That's kind of only the time that I'm like, I don't know, because it's like it feels very exploitative. But I do like the channel, and it is a very, very awesome window into addiction, and especially Skid Row. Yes, Michael, I would say beating off every day once is an addiction, for sure. I would definitely say that is an addiction. It's maybe a small one, for sure. Take a break. See if you can take a week off. It's not going to kill you. It's probably going to do you a lot of good, to be honest with you. Look at life like a video game. If you kill yourself, you'll just respawn at the same level. The only way to get to another level is to complete the objective, just my opinion. I like that train of thought. It's a cool train of thought. Shouts out to you for doing this. I was for sure could use this a couple years ago. Seven Eye Roach, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for these videos, Avo. My best friends send me videos from that channel, and I plan to look into it more. Kay Nicole, of course. Thanks for watching it with me. CRS Flow. I mean, whatever. It's like I can't really call anything straight up an addiction. It's your thing to quantify. If you feel like it's an addiction, you're the only one that can say that. I'm not allowed to be like, you're addicted. Because it's like, I don't know is it getting in the way of your family? Is it getting in the way in your health? Is it getting in the way in your friends? Can you not start your day unless you do that? So, yeah. I treat life as a soap opera movie with a soundtrack. That's dope too. Real world consequences versus morally doing the right thing. What do you mean, Uppermans? Like, expand on that a little bit. What are you talking about? Shiv, hey Avo, much love. I just rewatched Prisoners with Wolverine and Mysterio. Holy shit, what do you think? I love Prisoners. I love that director. The director's fantastic. Do you think we getting towards the end of this virus, or do you think that this is just the beginning? I mean, I personally think that this is not the end. I think that things will slowly start to open up, but I don't think this is the end. I'm gonna continue acting like just this is still going on. I'm not trying to go back to going out. I may like see a friend or something like that, but I'm not gonna go to the gym for a really long time, even if it opens. Maybe I'll get a haircut. I would probably rather have my friend cut my hair. But yeah, so how have I been holding up? Pretty good, Kay. I've actually been really good. I've been in a really, really good spot, mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm still struggling with a lot of depression and a lot of grief and heartbreak and stuff, but I feel like that's going to be there for a really long time. But I feel like a healthy way of coping with it right now, and I feel like I'm just in a very positive mindset. Have I been watching The Last Dance about Michael Jordan being addicted to gambling? Any thoughts? I haven't been watching it, but I am familiar with his story enough. Obviously, I was under the impression that he contributed towards the prison system, and that's just a big rumor the internet expelled on me, and I believed foolishly. So I'm not going to act like I'm the most educated person on Michael Jordan's life and the things behind the curtain. But yeah, being addicted to gambling is a very, very real thing, and I heard through a lot of different avenues that Michael Jordan is a super big gambling addict. Does the show deal with that? Rain, cancer patients fight because they don't want the pain or illness. Issues that are not of us take on the life of its own, so we dwell and need to feel the triggering depression. I saw gold filed for bankruptcy protection. Oh shit, Amy. You're really getting me depressed now. Rain. That's wild. That's a really wild thought. I like that. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate that. Just trying to make every day be the individual day and live not like necessarily in the moment, but just try to be the person, take a step towards being the big goal of me every day, you know, just trying to be a better person every day in some way, shape, or form, whatever that may be. Do I have a home gym? No, I don't. I've been working out like on the floor. Been doing sit-ups, push-ups, squats. I have sandbags for film that I use as dumbbells, and then I run outside. I've been running like 3 miles a day, but I do a lot of working out is still a huge part of my day. It takes like 2.5 hours every day. So I spent the first 3 months of this year thinking about suicide every day, and now I've cut out drugs and started exercising. I feel great. Hang in, people. You can deal with anything life throws at you. Ben Page, congrats on that, man. Congrats on incorporating exercise and kicking the drugs out. That's definitely got to help with any suicidal thoughts. That's incredible. Jackson Ryder, I have an addiction that I haven't kicked because of the fear of withdrawal pains. Well, the thing to weigh in that case is what's going to hurt more, being addicted to something or withdrawing from something. That's kind of like you're not doing something based out of fear. Of course, it's going to be hard to get off something that has withdrawal pains. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to act like it's easy because I haven't done it. When I stopped drinking and stopped smoking cigars and stopped like cheating on every woman that I loved, it's not like that hurt me like physically. So I can't really say that I'm an expert on that. But all I can say is you can't shy away from doing the right thing for yourself just because it's going to be hard. That's actually why you should lean into it, because it is going to be difficult. It's going to make you a bigger person. It's going to make you the person you want to be. If something was easy, it'd just be easy to walk through it. And who wants a life full of smooth sailing? You won't become a skilled sailor if you're just going to sail smooth seas. You need the storms. You need those waves to make you skilled as a person, as a human. Don't I think I'm going to lose muscle mass without using weights? Michael, maybe. I mean, possibly. To be honest, I've never done this sort of exercise routine in my life. I've always been a guy of the gym and working out and lifting heavy weights. And, you know, when I got out of a relationship 2 years ago, I got more into fitness, but I got also more into a different aspect of it. And now with this quarantine, I've gotten into a really different aspect of it, of doing the same thing every day. And it's more calisthenics based, and to be real with you, I love it. It's hard every day. I'm like drenched in sweat after every single workout. I feel like accomplished out of everything, and I feel like I'm stronger, faster, and just like I just feel healthier. And that to me is all I care about. I don't really care about mass anymore, but I do agree. NY is still fairly bad. I'm in New Jersey. Yeah, Amy could probably attest to how New York has been. They brought up the topic in one of the recent episodes, but he says he's not addicted to the act of gambling, but to the spirit of competition, betting on himself. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that just kind of seems like he's addicted to gambling. Because if you're addicted to always betting, that's gambling. But whatever you want to call it, you can call it I'm addicted to betting on myself, and that's fair. And that is certainly something that you would want to check, because if it's really messing up your life, you can be addicted to literally anything. And if it's getting in the way of something, it's definitely something that you would want to check. Just my opinion. Someone told me when I was 24 that every decision I make affects the people connected to me. Kick the habit, fam. That's good advice. That's very good advice. She deserves her space, not sure what the future holds, KS. Did I miss Yoava? We spoke about the Murphs on here a few days ago. I was foolish about this prison investment too. Other than that, I'm also in the same position as you with an ex-girlfriend. She deserves her space, not sure what the future holds. What I'm learning that my depression has resolved around her, and that must change. For sure, KS, I would say my advice to somebody who's going through the same exact thing is that the space is a very, very important and integral part to both of your healings. There's actually a video on that in the School of Life called Can Exes Be Friends? And they kind of go over it and saying that the healthiest way for ex-lovers to have a relationship is literally to first have space and then to come back afterwards. And I can attest to that for sure. I haven't seen my ex in 8 months now, and that's the longest I haven't seen her in 10 years. And I haven't heard her voice in 8 months either, and that's the longest I haven't heard her voice in 10 years. And yeah, it's been really good. It's been great. And the universe will work its way out, man. The universe is a bigger extension of your consciousness. The universe is happening for you, not against you. I think that's a big perspective shift that I've gone through with this quarantine. Is like, oh fuck, why does this woman not want to be with me? I'm like, I'm a different person now, you know. I'm like not shooting porn anymore. I'm not like off doing horribly sex addicted things. I'm not drinking. I really am the person that I think I am underneath all the shells of addiction. Why isn't the universe letting me have this thing that I really want? And when I shifted the perspective to rather being like, these are happening for you rather than at you, I think it gave me a lot of strength to get through those things and use them as power tools to strengthen myself and become stronger. Especially with this quarantine, you can even look at it like that. A lot of people, oh my God, this quarantine just fucked up my life. I had this business investment going for me that I was about to undergo, and boom, right before this quarantine, it fucked up my life. The thing is, it's like, it didn't. The quarantine is never gonna fucking end your life. It didn't come to your like bedroom and slit your throat at night and kill your family. All it did was put a roadblock in the way that maybe the universe thought you needed, and that you need to work through, and that you need to go around and learn how to grow from that. Literally, life is all about adversity and overcoming adversity. So when you learn to welcome adversity, pain, all those things, and learn to grow from them, it really does help. And KS, space from somebody you really love, however painful it was, trust me, I've been there for 2 years, man. I think about my ex-girlfriend every day, if not every fucking minute, and I dream about her every night, and it becomes no easier, but there is a lot of strength and growth that comes from that. I'll tell you that first. So, pressure builds diamonds, and it's time for you to shine for sure. Love you all. I will thank you for being here and understand everything you're saying now. Shiv, of course, my man, thank you for being in here with me. Earth is going to do what it does without us, with us or without us. Very true. Dunch, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate all your support. But yeah, guys, my sister and a couple of my best friends are in ATL, and I'm concerned for them. Yeah, much prayers and positive thoughts for them, Amy. Atlanta's nuts right now. This lockdown is a perfect time for personal growth and self-improvement. I know it can be difficult, but this is the only time we'll ever have to fully focus on ourselves, so grab it by the balls. I agree, Ben, and that was exactly my mind state going into this. It definitely was hard for me to get through that, but yeah. I can say, like, just like my heartbreak and me ending the relationship has been the worst, but also the best thing that happened to me. This quarantine has been the best thing that happened to me. Yep. I'm losing all my mass, Alberto, for sure. I'm cool with that. As long as I feel good, that's all I care about. I'd rather look like how I look now than just like a bag of milk, which is what I used to look like. But yeah, guys, appreciate everybody tuning in. It's been an hour. I'm going to turn it over to Round for Round in 10 minutes. And love y'all. Appreciate it. I will be live again for Ruin an Hour on Sunday at 11 a.m. If you guys have anything you want to talk about with me, email me, kgray, Gray, @rideordie.com. I'm free to talk. I'm here always. Peace and love.